What's going on, everybody? It's the Hook Cam back again with another draft class recap. Today we are checking out the Kansas City Chiefs, the moves they made in this draft, picking up a number of athletes. That's kind of the underlying theme with this Chiefs draft class is athletes. Never been a problem where you've looked back and said there was too many athletes. Just isn't going to happen on a football field. So before we dive in to this video, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to the Hook Cam, as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports, that would mean the world to both of us, I'm sure. But with all that being said, let's dive in to this Chiefs draft class in 2020. Starting things off, a video that I made right after this dude was picked, Clyde EdwardsHelaire out of LSU, one of my favorite players in this draft. I mean, just the heart that this kid has, his ability to break tackles in the backfield, his ability to break tackles in the gap, his ability to catch the football out of the backfield, everything he does, I think that he's a playmaker. It goes against the grain in terms of drafting a running back in the first round, which usually I'm not a fan of, and I know that there's a lot of people who aren't, and trust me, I'm in that class as well. But when he is this talented and he can come in and make an immediate impact on the Chiefs, this dude is going to be scoring touchdowns week one, in my opinion. I think that him and Damian Williams are going to be a phenomenal 1-2 punch in the backfield, and it gives them a little bit of flexibility in terms of where Damian Williams goes in terms of contract, or whatever may happen. You just don't know in the NFL. You don't know what these guys what they're going to want to do, and having a guy like Clyde EdwardsHelaire gives you the flexibility. I think he's just going to be an absolute freak with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now moving on to their second round pick, Willie Gay out of Mississippi State. And I'm not going to lie, Chiefs fans, I'm going to be real with you. I wasn't a massive fan of this pick. Yes, I do think that linebacker is a need that needs to be addressed, absolutely. But when I looked at his film, I wasn't ultra impressed, and I was kind of going, why did they pick this guy? What's going on? What did they see? Well, when you check out his combine, the dude is 6'1", 243 pounds, and ran a 4.46 40. He's got a 39-inch vert. And to me, I look at this pick from the Chiefs and, what's their thought process? Well, their thought process is this kid's a freak athlete, and let's mold him into a legitimate linebacker in our league and in our system. And so you look at a couple of plays that he made. You look at this game against Louisville, and they're going to run a really simple speed option here, okay? Optioning this dude. He's going to come down and attack the quarterback. Quarterback's going to pitch, right? We're going to the running back on this. Well, we've scraped over the top here with Willie Gay, right? He's playing Mike, and he is going to absolutely lay the wood on this running back. Boom, behind the backfield. 3rd and 4, make it a 4th down. This dude has some very serious athletic ability, and that's what I think sticks out to the Kansas City staff more than anything, is the fact that we can mold this guy. And with Spagnuolo's defense, it's a very in-your-face, 3rd down, we're going to pressure defense, and I think that he fits in to what they want to do in that situation, and I'm sure that they're going to be able to work with his coverage skills. He's going to be able to run with guys. Dude runs a 4.4. At 250 pounds, he's going to be able to run with dudes in the NFL. So when I think about that, I'm not super high on this pick coming into it, but I think that with some polish, with some coaching, this kid could be a very legit linebacker in the NFL. Now moving on to their next pick, Niang out of TCU, and once again, what am I saying when I see this cat? Athlete, right? Right tackle, TCU. I'll show you a couple of plays here where I think his athletic ability really shines through. We're playing left tackle right here. They're going to be running inside zone to the left. We're reading this dude, so he's going to give a quick stutter step and then work up. He's going to arc on this play to this backer. But just the way this kid moves in space, I mean, look at him step down on that backer, close the gap after he gave a quick stutter step to this defensive end. We're going to close this thing down, shuffle to this linebacker, and be able to block him. It's tough to do, especially for a dude who's that size. He's a big cat. There are some things, obviously, that he needs to work on in terms of pass pro, in terms of run blocking. As athletic as he is, I think he tends to be a little bit flat-footed when he run blocks. His base gets a little bit skinny. All things that are going to be solved. And you look at the tackles for the Chiefs with Eric Fisher and Mitchell Schwartz. Both of those guys are absolute freaks. They're good football. Mitchell Schwartz is probably the best right tackle in the game. And so when you have a dude like that who's going to be able to help and mentor a guy like Niang, I think that it puts a ton of potential on where his career could go. Now, the one thing I do want to point out is that his pass sets at TCU were a little bit different. When we watch his feet here, he backpedals a little bit into his pass set. Now, that's not a lack of athletic ability. That's how they're being coached. It's called a drop set. I'm very familiar with that. And it's just, a little wrinkle that you can do to help your tackles get back a little bit faster. I've had some personal experience coaching that. It's the only reason why I picked up on it. It might take a little bit for him to get used to a super traditional pass set. Now, they could have been doing that at TCU 2-3 years ago, and he's going to be like, yeah, I've done this before, not a big deal. I personally don't know. Just a couple of clips of him, though, moving on from that, of him run blocking. Like, this dude has some potential in terms of just being a mauler at that right tackle spot. I love him sticking with this block, carrying this thing downfield. But you can see with his feet here, he tends to get a little bit skinny as he's working upfield. We're chopping our feet a little too close, getting on skis. In the NFL, it's going to be tough to do that. Now, once again, I put this clip in here specifically. Big guys, when they get in space, most of them, like when I was playing football and I got in space playing O-line, I freaked out. I was not comfortable in this much space. But check out the right tackle here, moving upfield. We're locked on our target, and then we work upfield with him. Like, that's tough to do. This is a Division I corner or linebacker that we're working on over here. Like, that's tough. He's definitely a linebacker because they're stacked out wide. But still, like, you're still trying to work upfield on that. That's tough to do, man. And he doesn't seem to have a problem doing that. Here's another good rep of him playing right tackle and pass pro, just passing off this twist. It's one of the quick things I look for with tackles, is that ability to pass off this twist. Boom, we see that this cat's knifing in. Nothing's going to ever go away without something showing. We see this twist, we pick it up. Easy block for him. Just something positive to look at when we start looking at Lucas Niang and what he can bring to the Chiefs in the future. I don't think that this is a start now guy, especially with the tackles that you got, but somebody who can definitely work into a pretty good tackle a couple of years down the road. Now, moving on to the next pick for the Chiefs, Ladarius Reed, a safety out of Louisiana Tech. I didn't see a ton of film on him. Like, I saw, one game from 2 years ago, one game from last year, or one game from 3 years ago, one game 2 years ago, one game from last year. So he went from corner to safety. He has some coverage skills. However, he's kind of being publicized as like an in-the-box safety, as like that quote-unquote hard-hitting safety. I think that he can do both, and I'm really interested to see where Spagnuolo finds a home for him, because he is decent in coverage, especially as a safety. He does a really good job of not letting receivers get over the top. However, we see, like in this first clip, not afraid to come down and put a hit on running back, which is, it's super important for a safety to be able to come up and do this. That's a good hit for a safety. Right, we have a play like this. We got a little arrow route from number 2. We're bumped over with our safety. He's playing 8 yards off to start, and we're able to close on this thing. Like I said, there's some athletic ability here. That is the theme for the Chiefs when they draft. We want athletes. We will find out what to do with them when they get here. Here's a good example of him, just not one-on-one coverage, but in coverage against the safety, going deep post on that. He's able to go up and make a play. Like I said, I definitely think that there's some potential with Ladarius Reed, and I'm really interested to see where Spagnuolo finds a home for him in that Chiefs defense. Now, moving on to the next guy, we got Mychael Danna from Michigan. Dubbed as a defensive end, I'll be interested to see where he ends up. I think that he could end up playing like in that 2-point defensive end spot, almost like a Frank Clark situation with him. Here's just a quick example of him against Iowa. Love his hands on this. That's the one thing I'm going to point out. Boom, get that extension right now. Bench press this dude into the backfield. Now, the one thing I wish you would do a little bit better is shed that guy once you extend your arms, right? We've got this dude on skates. We've got to move him back. Now try and shed him. Obviously, in that situation, there's 3 bodies right next to him. He's not going to have a chance to shed him in that. One thing I noticed when watching film of him at Michigan is that they twisted a lot. And when you look at the Chiefs and their run to the Super Bowl on 3rd down, the big thing that they did was they twisted. So you got to find dudes with experience doing this. And I know that it's kind of basic in terms of, even high school defenses do that. Absolutely. But you got to find guys who can do it and do it well. And who can understand, hey, I'm just the looper on this play. I'm trying to open space up for one of the guys underneath. Or I'm a penetrator on this play. I'm trying to open space up for the looper, right? There's a lot of technique that goes into twisting. In this situation with him, he's probably a little bit wide on this loop. He's coming around. It's very obvious for O-lineman to come and pick that up, but he can kind of bend that edge a little bit more. There are, like I said, there's some things that this dude needs to work on, but again, I think that there's some very natural athletic ability with him in terms of nastiness and being able to get off blocks and make a play. This was a good play from him in this Iowa game. One of the only games that I could really find some good film on him for, and so I'm sorry that it's repetitive with that. But this is a good job of working off of a block from 77 here. They're just trying to run wide zone. He works outside of that. Not the best read from the back, but then he's able to come back in and make a play. That's an excellent job from Danna. So I'm very, like, once again, with a lot of the other guys on this, I'm interested to see where Spagnuolo finds a home for that cat, especially with some good edge rushers like Frank Clark out there, who's just a nasty dude. It'll be very interesting to see how he ends up in that Chiefs defense. Now, next guy, and this is one of the sleepers for me with the Chiefs this year, the Carius Keys from Tulane. I think that this dude's a pretty good man corner, which obviously they run a ton of with Kansas City, but this dude does a really good job of running with receivers, number one, fighting through a catch point, number two, and just finishing plays. Like, this kid does a good job, and then there's a couple of plays where, like, here he's playing Navy, coming up and making a tackle on triple option, man. There's no joke with this stuff. He does a good job of making a tackle on that play, but once again, like, I just think that he runs well with guys. And you look at this play at the bottom here, he's playing cornerback against, I'm not sure who that is, but he just does a good job of keeping dudes in front of him, opening his hips. He's pretty fluid, fighting through the point of catch and contesting every catch. I think that he's going to be one of those sleepers to make an impact on the Chiefs this year, even if it's just at that nickel spot. He's also a little bit bigger for a cornerback, but the Chiefs also signed a number of undrafted guys. I watched film on a couple of them. The one guy who really stuck out to me, though, was Lavert Hill, another Michigan corner. He had some very, very good film out there, and he, to me, is definitely a sleeper to make this Chiefs roster. I'll be interested to see how his camp goes and see where he ends up in on that Chiefs team. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. I'm the Hook Cam. I hope you enjoyed this film breakdown. If you did, if you could hit that like button, hit that subscribe button to my channel as well as to Jackson Kruger Sports. It would mean the world to both of us. That's all I got for you guys today. I'll be back with some more draft recap. But until next time, you guys stay safe, wash those hands, and we'll see you guys next time.